super grateful for the opportunity to do this, and I appreciate you guys being here. With that being said, keep that DeAndre Hunter. I got you. Yo, Ben Krypton, I appreciate it, man. All right, what we're gonna do here. Dave Pialotti. All right. We're gonna quick adjust here. I think I may have to. Hold on, I gotta find it. Where's the podcast? There it is. It's a solo one today. I gotta get Sinvicta out of here. Hang on. Sinvicta was the last guest on the podcast. Hang on. Gunk. Where the podcast go? Let me have a second here, guys. For pot overlays. I'm just looking for the proper overlay here, guys. Dunk. Duplicate your camera on both sides. Hold on a sec. No, where they're at. EGS 2.0 opening scenes. Nope. Podcast. There it is. All right. Do I trade cards with other people? Nah, I don't. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Give me half a second here. So here's what we're gonna do. I need to change this. So typically what we do, if you guys are unfamiliar, we have a podcast that's live on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. And typically how it works or what it is I either do one of two things. I either bring on someone like Sinvicta, like Mathis, like Melf, like Hafu, and we do an interview, or there's a show like this where we go in the back seat, aka not in the back seat, but in we kind of like we break the fourth wall, and I say, hey, here's what's going well, here's what's not going well. So we're gonna hop into that right now. All right, and then so we'll do a couple probably like 10 minutes, then we'll do a live Q&A and we'll wrap it. It's on Google Play too. Give me 1/2 second here, guys. Dunk. Done. Dunk. The live solo show, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's the first solo show we've ever done. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fresh Monday edition of the podcast. It's been a while since we've done an update show. If you missed last week's episode, we interviewed Sinvicta, his road to 100K subscribers on YouTube. It's a really interesting story about everything he kind of had to Sacktown to make that happen. But this is an updated podcast where we kind of look at the past month of January, what's went well, what hasn't went well, what have we learned, and some interesting things that have happened along the way. I think the first thing in terms of looking at everything on a whole, Twitch with the end of December, early January, we've hit all-time high numbers across the board on Twitch. And the way I look at things is I always try to approach what I do and on Twitch and YouTube and everything in gaming is just like a slow climb. And as long as my focus on a day-to-day basis is just making things just a hair better each time and not worrying about numbers, not worrying about, subscribers or people watching, because to me, in my opinion, like if you just do the right thing, you try to put on the best show possible and do what the community wants and find ways to entertain, then all the rest of the stuff takes care of itself. And I feel like over the past month, in particular for January, it's been a month where, it's been 2+ years of doing the show solid, but really, since 2012, really been grinding out everything and kind of learning and honing the craft and getting better. And I feel like, I don't want to say the pinnacle has been the past month, but having learned so much over the past 7 years, a lot of different things came into play in the success, of the first month of 2020. And I think the biggest thing is just focusing on getting better each time, whether, it could be one thing from loading in new sound effects that are better, funnier, newer, fresher in the Stream Deck, or loading in new music, or doing a crazy raid with a friend collaboration. That's one thing that's happened in the past week. I did Deadly Slob and I've really learned a lot from him about Tarkov and being better at Tarkov. But in terms of, we've collaborated before. I'd probably say, I don't know, close to a dozen, maybe not a dozen times, but like I'd say 6 to 10 times over the past 2 years. And for whatever reason, I just kind of went with just a bit, just having fun. And Deadly's he's a really nice guy, really dialed into the game and has one play style. And then we approach it in a completely different way. And it was kind of like the melding, like I think at the heart of it, we play off each other really well, but there hasn't been like this kind of response to a video. He posted a video on YouTube of, we did this, it's like a yoga run or something inside of Factory, and just had a lot of fun with it. But the response on that, like in terms of new people coming into the channel saying, hey, I found, your channel because of the collaboration Deadly Sub, it really has never been like that. But for whatever reason, I think that resonated with a lot of people. And I think maybe because it was like the dichotomy or the yin and yang of Deadly Slob and I, but we're not very different personality wise in terms of, he's very optimistic and entertaining. But I think maybe just the play styles, and I don't think it would have worked as well if he wasn't as willing to acquiesce. He played along really well, didn't take it too serious. It really went off the tracks at the end, and I felt bad about what happened. But he was really a good sport about it, which I think makes things a lot of fun when people are watching your content and they can laugh even in the face of like bad things happening. Versus as opposed to raging, is something that really built the community and the show around. So to have, Deadly Slob just naturally react that way, I think made for a really engaging YouTube video. And if you haven't checked it out, I'd go to youtube.com/Deadly Slob and check it out. But outside of that, I really had something that surprised me in this past week. And, there's a couple people that work on the team behind the scenes in terms of helping to produce content, edit, do a lot of audio stuff or writing. And one of the things I try to do, you know, and to help, or, you know, whatever the case is, if someone has a goal to do something and I know someone in that field, whether it's someone who wants to get into NFL films or whatever, I'm not flexing. I'm just saying, if I know someone, I'm going to reach out to that person to help someone who's kind of on the team behind the scenes, because number one, I know how they work, you know, and I have no problem recommending them. But long story short, I reached out to someone, and I don't want to tip the hand too much, but because the point is to not put the person on blast. But anyways, I reached out to someone who I know that's an author, and someone on the team wants to go down that path. And I reached out to this person. I'm like, hey, there's this really hardworking individual. You know, I think you have a lot of experience. You'd really be able to help this person with just a simple phone call. Like, would you mind doing me this personal favor to do it? And I'm someone who, I don't like asking for things at all, asking for favors, but you know, I have no problem doing it when it makes sense and if it really greatly will help someone else. And the response I got was like, hey, I'm too busy, check out this link. And I was like, bruh. And it really took me by surprise, because but I always got to take a step back, and like after the initial shock for like 10 seconds wore off, I'm like, hey, look, you know, that's why I approach things with no expectations. I can't judge whatever this individual has going on in their life. But it's just inverse of how I operate. Like, I don't want to say I'm the best at responding or anything like that, but if someone asks me to hop on a call or do something to help them out, I may not do it right away, but I'm always going to try to make time to do that for someone, whether it's a phone call or a connection or whatever. And I think it just kind of, I'm not going to say it didn't tick me off. 100% it ticked me off, but I kind of let it go and be like, look, I don't know what's going on in this person's life. Apparently they're really busy. They can't take a 10 to 15 minute call. But I think something like that, when that happens, it just reinforces why I try to do the inverse. You know, it could be something like, you know, sometimes like I'm just thinking something in my head that I've got reached out to do and I haven't done it, but I'm going to do, is that someone in the community created a game. It's on Steam. Like, hey, will you try this out? And the game doesn't fit what we do at all. But instead of just saying no, I'm going to say, hey, no, here's why. But at least I'm going to, you know, give them a reasoning. The reasoning is because it's like extremely minkus. Like it's like got borderline, you know, like R-rated stuff in it. But I still appreciate that. And I don't know. I just, I have no judgment for that individual. It was just a little disappointing. But at the flip side, it also made me want to kind of double down and go through, all right, who else can I reach out to that may be able to help this individual? I don't know. I just feel like I always try to understand it's hard to ask for help. So if someone does that, you know, you got to wake up pretty early in the morning to say no, or at least help them in some regard. But anyway, so that was a surprising thing to me. But even with those situations, I do my best to not judge and just say, all right, hey, look, it didn't work out, and not focus on it and move forward. Other thing that's gone really well over the past week is Ryan, myself, and Melf. I think Ryan actually came up with the idea. He sent us a message that, hey, do you want to start playing Spelunky on YouTube, but do something a little bit different, do it in a competitive setting? And you know, at that point, you know, when an idea like that sparks, like, all right, cool, how can we do this in a way that may reach beyond one game, right? So we're doing it for Spelunky. It's gone really well on the channel. I think for everyone across the board, it's a lot of fun. It's different content. I think it's exciting, and you know, has the potential to be like a longer term series because we can pivot to other games. But that's something that's gone really well. And I think just over the past month and really over the past year, we've just been focusing on trying to do different things. And speaking of YouTube, the focus, you know, we've really done, I think, a pretty good job over the past 2 weeks of putting out 2 videos a day and trying different things. You know, like I look at the videos we produced. We did like a Reddit reaction video. We did a reacting to Raid, because I felt like, I know I want to put out Tarkov content exclusively on YouTube, or videos exclusive about Tarkov on YouTube, but I like mixing it up. I don't just like doing the same thing over and over again. And you know, another thing we tried for the first time was the top 10 kills of the week. Zane put that together, and I think, and I'm just trying to think, put myself in the shoes of the person on the other side of YouTube. It's like, hey, if I'm not watching a series and there's 10 videos of the same series coming out, like there's no incentive for me to watch, versus, hey, here's a Tarkov video that's not part of a series. It's kind of a wacky idea. I don't know. I just think it, on my side and the creative side, it's a lot more enjoyable. And also, I think it's more people enjoy watching like differentiated content. But with things that have gone well, there's also one I'd say we took an L on, and it's fine. And I think that's part of the interesting part about doing things online or putting yourself out there is we did a first look at for a video called The Bridge, and it's like a puzzle game from 2013, and it was a free game on the Epic Game Store. I'm like, oh cool, free game, let's check it out. And I think the game's pretty good, but it just didn't do well. You know, I think it didn't do well for a lot of different reasons, but like it's not always wins, right? And so it's being able to look at that and say, okay, hey, why didn't that do well? Is it because it was a free game? Is it because the game's 7 years old? Is it because it's a logic-based puzzle game? There's a lot of things that I don't know, but I can start kind of like going through Clue and saying like, checking this. All right, so I'll try another free game on the Epic Game Store that may be a better fit for the channel. So it's just kind of like testing and doing different things and seeing what works and what doesn't. So that was good. And that, you know, I was like, it's not always wins, but like sometimes you learn way more from taking an L than just, you know, oh, everything's going well all the time. Another interesting thing that I think came up in the Discord, there was a question that came up and said, hey, Dan, what's your take on VR content and VR games? I think for me, you know, and we talked about it during one of the live shows this week about like Doom VR. Like I love Doom, but playing it in a VR setting, to me, it seems like it'd be really overwhelming. And I don't know. I don't know. I think to me, VR is going to be more like contacts as opposed to immersive games. I don't know. I just don't see for me, I don't see it happening in the near future. And the only time I played VR Elite Dangerous at Mathis's house, and it's pretty immersive. I just don't know how I can translate that to like a YouTube or Twitch format right now and make it entertaining and engaging, because I'm sure there's different tools, but wearing a visor with limited production, I don't know. I'm not saying it can't be done. I just right now it's not in my, you know, frontal cortex in terms of that is. But Elite Dangerous was really, really it was really immersive, and it was really cool to kind of dial in about. I don't know if we've talked about this. We've talked about this on the Twitch show, but I actually want to pull, if I can find this comment. There was a comment that, and you guys know my take on comments is I read every piece of feedback, and I take them all with a grain of salt. So like some people say, yeah, hey, I love this, and some people are like, hey, I don't like this. But essentially, there was a comment on a Bloodborne VOD on the second YouTube channel. It said, hey, Dan, I really preferred watching your Dark Souls playthrough when essentially like Twitch didn't play the game for you, or you weren't focused on chat and you weren't more focused on making it entertaining than rather playing the game. And for whatever reason, that's been like the most impactful. I don't want to say most impactful, but definitely a comment I've reflected back on a lot, because while it may have turned one individual off to the content, it just kind of told me like that's the direction from the beginning that I've tried to put the show in. And I think in the beginning, I don't think I did a very good job of making things entertaining, but after doing something for 2.5 years, you kind of learn like, hey, this works, this doesn't. And to me, it was like almost like although it was like a negatively delivered comment, it was almost like, hey, what you're doing is working, which was kind of cool. So that was kind of interesting. The other thing that we've been working on, and we tested it on Friday on the Twitch show, which was developing a way for another way for people to get involved in the show. And there's a lot of times where it's just kind of a natural progression. I always feel like the best things that happen on the Twitch show have just been an organic something that happened that people enjoy doing, and then just kind of taking the idea from that. And one of the things we've done on the Twitch show over, you know, the past year and a half is just getting live feedback on whether or not people think the live viewing audience thinks we're going to win something or lose something. And it's a very simple process. It's either like a Y or N in chat, or in this case, a W or L. So I sat down with, I started messaging some ideas back and forth with the bot developer who's you know, we hired to do a map bot for us, and a custom bot that keeps track of trading card packs for us. And so I said, hey, like, here's what I'm thinking. I want to find a way for people to to keep record of their wins and losses without it being spamming the entire chat. Meaning that I've been in Twitch chats where there's like currency and things like that, but it really takes over the chat. So there were two big hurdles in kind of developing this idea. Is one, how do we keep the spam out of the chat of people checking their record? Meaning like, and to me, it's like, if you're competing or if you're having fun with it, you want to check your record. So it's like, how do you give people the option to check their record without it flooding the chat? And so QB, it's like, hey, what if we just did it so you whisper the bot and then it will whisper your message? So there was kind of checkpoint one, is get the spam or like the chat commands that don't add anything to the community out of that, so people can still have a conversation. So that was checkbox number one. Then checkbox number two is, how do you set it up so it's friendly, chill, with a hint of competitiveness without it being like super hardcore? And then how do you delineate that into a formula so it's like, all right, so if someone watches the show once a week and they're 10-0, meaning they get 10 runs in a row correct, versus someone who's at 3 shows a week and they're 30-10 or whatever, 40-20, how do you delineate that? So it really took a while to think about it. And it's simple, but it took a while to think about is you'd remove keeping track of the losses. So what we came up with was a system whereas if you win or you guess the outcome correct, you get +1. But I didn't want it to be just who was here the most. I didn't want it to penalize people who weren't here all the time, and I didn't want it to like over reward people for people who were here all the time. I just wanted to find a common ground. And the way we did that is just, if you win, you get +1. And if you lose, you get -1. So that way, like you could be here for one day and go on a streak and be at the top of the rankings. Or, you know, you could be here for a long time and just pick and choose your marks. It's not a measure of frequency, but just how dialed in you are. So it's something cool. And I think being able to check it live in chat with a leaderboard, and it keeps people of the ranks, and it'll say, it's not something that, we don't want people spamming leaderboard in the comments or in the chat, but to be able to check it every now and then, I think is cool. But being able to individually check it when you whisper the bot, by just, you send the bot the command !record, it will tell you your individual rank. So it's kind of cool. And I don't know, we just literally tested it one time. And so I'll go in the Discord, which is the chat program where the community hangs out outside of the show, and look for some feedback there to see if people liked it, if they didn't like it, and what we would change about it. So it's cool. So it was something new that we tried out, and I'm excited about it, but ultimately the community decides whether or not it sticks around or not, which is cool. But anyways, yeah, so that's been a recap of what's been going on the past week and past 30 days. And the only thing outside of that has been TikTok. And I think for the first time ever on TikTok, we went back to back, really 3 in a row, 3 semi-viral TikToks in a row, which has been crazy. And I think we're in a decent rhythm now where I'm posting a lot more, but having a better idea of what to post. So there's been a couple times, which I think I mentioned on the podcast before, which has been kind of cool as someone who's trying a new platform and seeing how it kind of full circles. There's been a few times during a live show where someone's coming to the show and be like, hey, you're the Tarkov dude on TikTok. I'm like, I don't know. It's like you do all these different things and you don't really know it works. And that's okay. Like there's not always a way to do one-to-one tracking on things. But just to kind of get that like little tip of the cap that is working is kind of cool. So outside of that, this has been a little bit of a different podcast in terms of, this is the first solo show we've done live on Twitch, where typically I would do a podcast like this on a Sunday and record it. So I think because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to take some live questions from the individuals that are watching live the podcast right now, which I appreciate that have been here from the beginning. So we're going to answer as many as we can and kind of take it from there. So if you have any, and I always do this, whether Twitter or Instagram or Discord, I always like to do Q&A from different areas so that people that may not be on Twitch but on YouTube have opportunities to ask anything, they're dialed in, and maybe they don't have any questions, and that's cool too. But I wanted to do that since it was a live format, and then always, Tyler, the editor, can always edit out any dead space in there. But yeah, so if you're watching live, all right, Digimal asks from Twitch chat, with the added streaming schedule, any chance for a drop in for an NLSS segment? That's a great question, because I always love whenever I can to hop on the NLSS, and I'm super grateful, that I don't want to say I have carte blanche, because that's not the case, but it's pretty free flowing, where it's like, if I'm like, hey, if I know I have time, I'll hit up Ryan and be like, hey, dude, I'm around. And he's always super gracious about letting me pop on. But to me, it's always like a scheduling thing, where the NLSS always runs, for me personally, during family time. So meaning, I shut down things on Twitch usually around 2, and I'm home by like 4:35. Spend time with the family, and that's kind of when the NLSS is. So, the times when I do pop on the NLSS, it's usually after kind of like things have wound down and the kids are in bed. So I don't know, it all depends, but I feel like having a consistent Team Unity Tuesday is kind of like similar. I know it's not the same, but it all depends. It's more like a rare one-off. If I had to guess, it probably happens like quarterly that I were able to hop on for a segment. Next question says Anarking, says, you're really good at twisting every situation to quality entertainment. Is there any time you think you could have done better? Yeah, I think the times that I've realized that things get less entertaining or not as good as they could be is when it's a really long show and like you get caught into a loop. And so like, and more often than not, it's when like a Dark Souls segment, because you just get in these weird loops. So I think just being self-aware that marathon shows, like super long shows, aren't necessarily the most entertaining, because eventually I don't want to say you run out of steam, but you get caught in these weird loops of like really being focused on beating a boss, as opposed to what the focus of the show is for me, which is creating clean, positive entertainment. And so I think the longer the show goes on, the more tunnel vision I get. So I just try to limit the length of the shows for that reason, with the exception of the Rare Friday show.
Bruh.
Next question from the Chosen One 013 says, how does it feel to know you've had a real positive impact on people's lives? This is something that I think I struggle with, because that was the design of the show. But I really resonate with Ryan Northern. I posted a vlog video about, I think he said, like, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like being ashamed of what he did or not finding value in it. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to paraphrase what he said, but whatever he said, it really resonated with me, because like, at the end of the day, I feel like you're entertaining people, but sometimes it's like it goes a little bit into the void, meaning that it's not like, when you're doing a show and you see the people that are like physically there. But I think what really, I guess, drives the point home for me, where it's like you have an understanding sometimes. And there'll be times when I'll show like my wife, be like, hey, look at this message I just got. And it'll be like usually an email or a DM of someone sharing something about how it helped them or whatever. And I think that's what, I never want to assume that that's what I'm doing, even though that's the goal. And I think it's only when like those messages come through that it's like, man, it kind of hits you. So I think at some point I'm sure I'll be like more accepting of that, but sometimes it's hard to believe, because when I started this thing, 2.5, 3 years ago, it's like that was the goal, but you don't really know if it ever happened. So to kind of be at the end, I don't say at the end of it, but be to a position where it's happening and what you're doing is working. And for me, it's always, it's about gaming, but I always try to make it about something more or as equally beneficial as being entertained. So to have those messages come through, I think really starts to drive the point home. And, at some point, I'm sure I'll be fully accepting of it, but I'm not quite there yet. Next question is from Captain Snuggles on Twitch. Says, with the Tarkov drops push and the surprise extra streams the last few weeks, are you feeling compelled to stream more to be successful? I'll just say we all hope you're comfortable with having good time and all the extra work. So I think, definitely, I think there's windows, right? And I looked at the Tarkov drops as a very rare window of opportunity, meaning that for whatever reason, everything aligned and it was a really fun promotion going on with the Tarkov Twitch drops. And so I doubled down there because I'm like this is one, there's only so many windows like that. And so I really enjoyed doing that. And then it kind of extended in the weeks where that went really well. So I'm like, all right, what if I streamed a little bit more? How will I feel? Do I like it? You know, what's the feedback like? Are people enjoying it? And I think what I was most surprised about was that I think I've wanted to do that for a very long time. And I just talked about this yesterday. I've off camera, like I've wanted to do that for a long time, but I've never, for whatever reason, never gave my permission to kind of double down on that, because I didn't know if it's because like I don't know if people wouldn't show up on an off day. I didn't know what the feedback would be like. I didn't know what it'd be like for me is like, can I manage everything I need to manage? Like outside of gaming, like so YouTube 2 videos a day, the 3 Twitch shows a week, my family life, and I run a real life business. Can I still do that and add more streams in? And what I found was I've been more dialed in with my time. I feel happier business wise about it. And then also, I think just clearly communicating to the community that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the shows will always be there. And Tuesday and Thursday are like extra shows. And if I can, I will. In this past week, you know, I didn't have a Tuesday show because, you know, I had a family engagement. And I think it's okay. Like, and I felt okay. Like, hey, look, you know, there's very few things that will derail a show, but it was okay. And I think just kind of giving yourself like leeway to say, all right, hey, look, if you can do one, it's forced me to be more dialed in so I can do more. But in the event that something's going on, it's okay to not have it. And I think to me, the biggest thing I just don't want people to not have an understanding of is that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are always the shows. And I just don't want to have a confusing message out there. So I don't think I'm quite there yet in terms of clearly communicating it, but we're getting closer to it. Next question is from Barfly Jones. Says, what do I do besides Twitch streaming and YouTube? So I run a business. I don't talk about it ever online because it's not something I want to talk about in terms of I don't think it provides any value to anyone. It's not something that like I am passionate about, but I'm not super passionate about like, it's kind of like, and I can't talk about it yet, but so soon in my real life business, I'm not super creative, but I'm dialed in business wise. So like you have that. And then on the gaming side of things, like it's creative, and the business side of things are like, I can't say a ton about it, but there's going to be an announcement about it soon. So on the business side of things, like I'm not able to be creative, but Twitch allows me to do that. So it's like, it's kind of like I have the best of both worlds. I have the creative outlet for Twitch and not having to worry about the business side of things because I do that in my real life business. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But it's been cool because what happens is like my real life business is like, you know, how I take care of things without getting into the super details of it in terms of like my life and my family. But like the way Twitch has been growing, it's also going really well. So it's like, it's just kind of finding the balance. I don't know. I just feel my big thing is I always feel very fortunate for the opportunity to do this. And I don't take it for granted, but I also, my expectations on the gaming side of things is so long-term. Like I'm just, if I were unable to do this, I know I wouldn't be happy in a day-to-day business side of things. So to always have like my real life business running gives me the freedom to not have to not close shop on the Twitch stuff, if that makes sense or not. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but being able to do both allows me to ensure like, hey, you can still be happy and do both. But if you were to take like either of them away, I don't think that's the ideal situation for me. The next question is from T Edits. It says, does Twitch vernacular slip in your day-to-day at all? Not in my like real life day-to-day, but like if I'm talking like Ryan or Melf or someone, you know, in the community, yes, but not in my real life. No. Next question is from Takato. Says, speaking of helping others, are there any specific ways other streamers have influenced the way you went about your channel and presence? I talked about this before, but I think Ryan Gary's work ethic definitely, is something I look at. I'm like, man, this dude's a machine. And so I think that always helps me. And I think a big game changer for me was I don't watch it all the time, but I'm always I think Dr. Disrespect just puts on a TV show, right? It's not a stream. And I know, it's some people enjoy it, some people don't, but I think just seeing what he does, it's like it sparks different ideas in my head. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Is there a way we can adapt that for the show, or it may spring up like a totally different idea? But I'd say for sure, like I'm always drawn more to the streams or content where someone's doing something way different, right? Or it's not just, for me, it's not just, I never want the show to be, hey, camera, game. I just don't want that. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. There's some streamers I watch that do that, but it's just not what I think I'm able to put on the best show not doing that. Dolphinus says in the Twitch chat, as a follow-up to a previous answer, do you feel like if you had the audience live to see their responses of body language, you'd have an easier time valuing what you do? I think it's different. I think it would be just a different type of value, because the other thing, I don't talk about it much, but like I used to speak at colleges. I would, speak at different colleges, and you would get that feedback. But even that, like, hey, I really enjoyed the talk or whatever, which I don't do that anymore. I still almost like didn't believe it. I know it's kind of weird, but I don't know. You don't really, I think it takes a while to really feel like you're impacting people. And I just think it's a natural progression, because for me, it's like I'm just having so much fun, and I try to do that, but I don't like, I don't know. It's really, it's a tough thing to understand. I don't always communicate that the best way. Sergeant Shannon on Twitch says, do you have any positive moments from the show that really stand out to you? I think, there's like really funny moments and stuff from the show that I always remember, but I think more recently what's been really cool that I'll always remember is that in the community Discord, there's been a couple instances, I'm not gonna put anyone on blast, but in particular, there's a community member that was running an event, and they hired another community member to work at the event. I'm like, that's amazing. And then there's another post. I mean, they happened like back to back. And there's another post like, hey, like I met up with this person from the community, and they shared a picture. I'm like, to me, that's what's really cool, is that outside of the show, like the community is like super supportive of each other. There's, we always do our best to kind of like keep things positive and, different. And I think that's something that really resonated with me. I'm like, holy cow, like it's awesome. It's like, I don't know if anyone ever thought of, just by being in the community, that, they'd be hired to do a job, or that someone in the community would think to hire someone in the community. I don't know. That kind of stuff, to me, I think is very memorable and fires me up a lot. Anything coming up on either, this from Majestic Man Randy Savage, on YouTube or Twitch that I can tease? There is a new Golden Goblet series that will start next week that is not Spelunky. And if you were odds on betting, you would probably peg me as the favorite to win this one. That's about all I'm going to say about that one. And then in terms of Twitch, I think just coming to the conclusion of Bloodborne, I think there's going to be some fun stuff that comes from that. All right. And last question is from Nice Kitty on Twitch. It says, do you ever feel like you'll get back into the TV scene? To me, I don't, because I feel like this is better. Like I enjoy this more. This is, for me, it's way better. Like if you were to say, hey, look, you could go on X reality show and win, but you'd have to give up Twitch to do it, it's a no-brainer. Like I just really enjoy this, but at the same time, like I look at that experience, and like so much of what I do on Twitch, I've learned from, you know, being around the camera or being comfortable, which, because I was never like that. You know, I don't think I don't think I would execute as well as I do on Twitch without that background, because I'm generally a very introverted person, which I know is really kind of strange to wrap your head around, but it's 100% true. So it's, I don't know. It's, so to answer the question, no, I always say, when some people come into Twitch and they may be new and be like, oh, you're on Big Brother, would you ever do it again? It would have to be a very, very short amount of time with a very big payday up front. And even that, to me, it's like not even, you know, you can't put a dollar amount on happiness. And right now, the way things are after all this work, you know, I'm just in a really, really happy and I wouldn't say content, because I always like pushing the envelope and making things new and trying different things, but very, very happy with just the day-to-day of like, hey, let's work and do this and see what happens. I feel that's why I always try to, one of the things I try to convey at every show is just how grateful I am for the opportunity, because I know there's a lot of people that would love to do this, and, you know, for whatever reason, they're not able to. So I don't take this for granted at all. And I just realized, I think I've placed a lot of value in how much the community and being able to do the show and YouTube has on my day-to-day life. And, you know, so I'm just super grateful for it all the time. With that being said, this is being recorded before the Super Bowl. I'm going to go on the record and say the 49ers have won the Super Bowl 28-21. They're going to win it in the fourth quarter. That's my prediction. If you guys if this is your first time listening to the podcast, hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys next Monday for the fresh episode. Thank you guys. We'll play some music here. These won't, maybe these make like a mini podcast, but I'm going to hit these questions real quick. Cam tries to, do I have any hobbies outside of gaming? I like working out. I like running, and it's been on the back burner, but I took piano lessons for a while, and I think that's, to me, that's a missing creative unplugged component that I'm gonna start working back in my day-to-day. Not going to lessons, but just playing again. David Bridgman, I'm gonna talk about, I'll probably have an announcement next week, within the next 2 weeks, about that. Jokes with that. Anything you change, improve, or introduce in the game of Tarkov? I think VoIP in game, selfishly, I think it will take the show to another level. My opinion. I really do. I think it'll just, to me, that's what was special about PUBG. And the game was okay, but I think Tarkov, the game, is great. And if we can add VoIP in there, I think that'll be pretty special. I think we'll get some, I think it'll be very entertaining. Dolphinus says that introverted thing resonates with me. I've learned to interact on the show comfortably. Yeah, I'm self-aware that I'm an introvert. It's just my preference. But yeah. No, I'm super novice at piano, but like I know the basics, so now it's just kind of pushing the envelope there. Pat, we had a legendary pull today. We pulled a Emerald John Morant. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, actually, Friday, Ultima Online went free to play. Oh, dude, David, no worries, man. Just hang out. What do you do for work, David? Austin is a natural musical talent. Like I have to work really hard at it. I can imagine at some point I'll probably, like, as like a meme, I'll put like not in the next year, in the next couple years, I'll put out a meme piano video. All right, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the extended show today. Thank you guys for all the love and support. We will be back live. I know the schedule for next week is Monday through Thursday. So I'm out of town on Friday. But But I look forward to the shows next week. Bloodborne will be over next week. We're going to farm some BVs off the schedule. But thank you guys so much for supporting the show. I'd like to thank the following individuals for supporting the show through the subscription model. Chicken Sandwich, Barfly Jones for the gifted sub. Lumani, QP Rojo, David Bridgman, Decoy Coates, Turkey Ham, Scartham, Spaghetti Master 67, Ace Ravens 52, M-Babs, Barfly Jones for the 500 bits, Dr. Belmore for the 5 gifted subs. I am the Cronus for the 25 gifted subs. Mo Parman for the 5 gifted subs. GDC Sarcasm, Barfly Jones for the 10 gifted subs. Kalisin 29, Enemy Extends for the 10 gifted subs. Wheeler Dealer and DP Dickin for the bits. G Wizop, Nutmeg Cat Track for the 5 gifted subs. Jokes with Dad for the 5 gifted subs. Veneer Hair, Barfly Jones for the bits. Duck Draw for the gifted subs. Pixie Sticker for the gifted subs. Borbagos, Ishmael for the bits. Jokes with Dad for the gifted subs. Golden Wolfman 122, Ace Ravens, Dr. Belmore, Ace Ravens for the bits. Barfly Jones for the 500 bits. Ace Ravens for the bits. Enemy Extends, Captain Snuggles, MP is Bro, Making Mistakes, Maddie Can, Tai City, Danny Wandig, Stretch Marks, Universal Genevieve for the 2 gifted subs. Snobber 2, Shiny Top Hat, Han Solo for the 1,000 bits. Anon for the gift. LP2K, Derpocalypse, El Sticky, Captain Snuggles for the 5. The Suki, Yokai Buster Plays for the 1,000 bits. Elendi 89, Yokai for the 1,000 bits. Josh Visor for the bits. Yokai Buster Plays for the 500 bits. Swiss Cheese, Super Pac-Man, Zin Gamer 9. This has got to be close to a record. Nether Ending for the tier 3. Yokai Buster Plays for the 500 bits. Game Dog LP, Miss Andy's, El Sticky for the gifted sub. Malfi for the host. Dragon Spirit, S'moreman for the 6 months. Nether Ending for the 5 gifted subs. MM0741117. Staccato for the 5 gifted subs. Anime Bud and Mystery Gaming for the 2 months. Man, that's got to be close to a record, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let's go ahead and see who's live so we can spread the love. We'll be back live Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next show. I'm a simple man. I see Kate streaming. Yo, why don't I see Yo Soy on? I don't see him on. All right, let's go show some love to lovely Momo. When you go over there, just oops.